Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show, not to my listeners and viewers, but to this very dear friend of mine, host of Football Night in America, also voice of Notre Dame football, who will be there as a fan this weekend because the man lives right in the area of the big house. My name is Rich Eisen, and I approve this message. Here's Mike Tirico on this program. How are you, Mike?
Hi, Rich. Yeah, it's a rare Notre Dame game in person for me where
Okay.
I get to use my Michigan season tickets. I have season tickets to Michigan and go to almost no games, so it's a very healthy relationship I have with your university.
And it's funny, Fowler will be calling the game, right? Just like he did last week with Michigan and Penn State. And, you know, my emotions are in play. They just flat out in play, Mike. You know, what do you think's going to happen here?
They should be.
What do you think's going to happen here?
Yeah, it's, you know, the Michigan story is almost superseding the last game on the schedule for the rivalry. I'm sure they'll figure out a way to squeeze each other in here along the way again. It was nice when you saw this every year. It's hard scheduling-wise to do it for both sides, the way college football schedules have gone. But, you know, the overriding theme continues to be, well, what's going to happen at Michigan? I don't know what the biggest fault is of the Harbaugh era to this point, other than you haven't won your rivalry games, win the Big Ten. I think it keeps coming back to develop a quarterback. That's what everybody expected, and you have not seen these star quarterbacks that are dominating college football be a product of Jim Harbaugh's time at Michigan, and that's probably led the biggest seed to all the discomfort around the program right now.
Well, we had Charles Woodson on the show yesterday, and, you know, Charles was in town a couple weeks ago because he got, you know, he was in the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame, which is as a lock as anything's ever been, right? And I asked him, you know, yesterday about the fact that Harbaugh had to send or felt the need to send a letter to recruits saying all the rumors of him kicking the tires on the NFL or vice versa are false. And, you know, and he said, normally when a coach does that, that makes me think that there is some smoke there. And I was kind of stunned that Charles said that. He said he didn't get that sense being around the team. But I'm wondering what you think.
Right.
What do you think?
You know, I think he's as committed to this job as anybody can be. And I'm going to give you the non-football reasons why. I think young family, kids are going to school at the same school he went to, the school he grew up going to. His roots in the community are pretty deep and strong. And I think he wants to be there. He goes past the statue of one of the two, you know, formative people in his life, Bo Schembechler, every day when he goes into his office. Big statue outside the football building in Michigan. I think the other one's his dad, Jack, who's right there. Family's right there. Mom and dad are living right near them. He's got everything you could ever ask for at this point. And then let me flip it over to the NFL side. What has Michigan done in the Harbaugh tenure that an NFL owner is going to say, hey, let's do this? I don't think there's much. I think there are 4 or 5 other current college coaches who right now are hot. Was Jim Harbaugh very good at San Francisco with Kaepernick? Yes, he was. That's a lifetime ago in on-the-field football. The most recent examples we've seen have not duplicated that. I don't know if an NFL team is going to say we'll be better because of what he did 5 years ago with the team that got to the Super Bowl. I just don't know if that's the case.
Mike Tirico here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's get to this game. Is Notre Dame a better team this year than they were last year?
You know, Rich, I don't necessarily think I'm ready to say it's a better team. I think it has the potential to be a better team. I don't think they're better right now, and here's why. I thought they had some pretty good guys on the defensive side of the ball last year who went to the NFL, who they've yet to replace. I think on the offensive side of the ball, they've had injuries, so we haven't seen them grow just yet to what I think they could be fully. I thought last year's team had established who it was by this point. This year's is still. But I think they can be. Now, I know they went to Georgia and lost. Last year they were undefeated. So out of hand, I should say the answer to that is no, they can't be that good. I think they can play with anybody in the country, anywhere in the country. I really do. I just don't know if this team is going to hit its max in the second half of the season. It's a tough test for Michigan. There's no doubt about it. The fact that Notre Dame went to Georgia, Rich, and played a terrific game is giving them full confidence as they go to Ann Arbor that they can do the same thing.
And just the same thing that I take out of what happened in Penn State and Michigan last week, where Harbaugh has been saying that the Michigan offense is so close, and it does appear that the offense arrived in the second half of that whiteout game last week in Happy Valley. So my question for you is: do you think this offense could actually score on Notre Dame? Do you feel any confidence on that?
For sure. No, I think they can. I think Notre Dame's defense, their defensive coordinator, Clark Lee, is a tremendous coach. I really like what he's done with their defense. They don't give you the same look week in, week out, and they have got a lot of different options to get to defensively. And I love what Clark does. But I will agree with you that I think I've seen most of Michigan's significant games. Maybe I missed the first half of the Middle Tennessee State game, but by and large, that's the best their offenses look against a quality opponent, the second half at Penn State. So did they find something that matched with Penn State defensive scheme, or did this offense start to click and find itself? I've heard other people say this, and I agree. I don't know what the Michigan offense is yet, and I think that's a part of a lot of these offenses in football. You're trying to do a little spread. You're trying to do a little read option. You're trying to do a little empty and five wides or all the other stuff. At the same time, Harbaugh wants to get in 3rd and 1 and line up his big fullback and run inside there and be a physical team. Well, because of the number of hours and because of the talent of college players, it's hard to be everything. So I think as they find what they do best and settle into that a little bit, they'll continue to grow.
Mike Tirico here on the Rich Eisen Show. Last question for you on this. What about Brian Kelly and Notre Dame, where obviously you're very well versed on what's going on with Michigan and Harbaugh as well as what's going on with Brian Kelly and Notre Dame, where we are seeing the year in, year out Alabama and Clemson and Ohio State and, of course, Oklahoma. And we could say the same 4 or 5 teams and 6, 7 teams. And Notre Dame is right there on the periphery, but they haven't broken through to a national championship game. Is there fatigue going on in South Bend, best you can tell, there as well?
No, there's not fatigue. I think there's pleasure that Notre Dame has returned back to the group that is right there with those other schools you mentioned in that notch below the Alabamas, the Clemsons, all those schools that get there on a regular basis. And that's a little bit different calculus for Notre Dame. I'm going to take a step back. I think this playoff era in college football is damaging college football more than it's helping it. Because I think once teams lose a game, it's like, oh, okay, your season's over. Thanks. Take care. Thanks for playing. And we've turned college football into semi-pro football. And while that's exciting, while it's fun to have this constant conversation in October of, oh, they're out of the playoff for this or that reason, it does not at all mesh with what college football has been about for a long time. I think if we elevate it back to 8 teams make the playoff, it keeps every conference alive.
Damn straight. That was my response. Is that's the answer to what you're saying is 8 teams. 8 teams. And this year I could see it in the middle of September that there was enough to competition where an 8th seed or a 7th seed could do some damage in the first round against someone like Alabama or Clemson. Absolutely, Mike. There's no doubt.
It's not healthy for the sport to have teams out in September in the conversation. So to your point about Notre Dame, Notre Dame's interesting because the academic part of who you can get to play football there is still very significant. If you take the top 300 players in the country, Notre Dame can't recruit all 300 because you're not going to get them in school. There's no place to hide them academically. So you've got to go maybe at half that list. And then you're still competing against some of the best schools in the country. And I think Brian Kelly has found the sweet spot of the expectations of the job, the academic requirements that come with recruiting football players there, and playing winning football. After the 4-8 season, they've been exceptional. They've only lost to terrific teams on the road or in neutral sites. Does that satisfy Notre Dame alums? No, they'd like to be in the championship picture. They're right on the periphery, and I'd say if they can continue this, every couple of years, the mix will be right that they'll have a chance to beat one of those guys in one of those big games.
A few more minutes left with Mike Tirico here on the Rich Eisen Show. Put your Football Night in America hat on your head. The best teams in the NFL, AFC and NFC, I can kind of guess. where you'd go AFC,
Right.
but lay
the
it on me.
non-New England division, you mean?
No, it's crazy. I mean, it really is remarkable, Mike. It's unbelievable.
It's Rich. I hope we don't tire of it. We are seeing the greatest stretch of football by an organization in the free agency era, and maybe in the history of the game, going back to 50s and 60s. We really are. And sometimes we'll tire of it, or we'll look for, the little slight scratch in the Mona Lisa here. This is what they do is great. They bring in players and make them better. And if they don't make them better, they move on and get the next set of players who will make them better. What they're doing defensively this year is ridiculous, how good it is, especially in the secondary. So the sport went where? The sport went spread and pass. So Bill Belichick went where? Let's get all these great defensive backs in here. Guess what? Their numbers are obscene in terms of the opposing passer. Now, they haven't played the best passers in the league. Let's see how they hold up when they play better passing offenses. But I just love watching them. I really do. It's an appreciation for me football-wise. Over in the NFC, San Francisco has done it. 10 points in 3 games here. They have 4 of the next 5 at home. I love everything they're doing, but the Green Bay thing has a little magic to it. We'll see them Sunday night against Kansas City. Aaron seems you saw it, Rich, the scene in the locker room with the players celebrating with Aaron Rodgers. Have you seen that in the last 4 or 5 years?
No, it really is. It really is working
there.
I know, and he said and Charles Woodson said he told Charles that the defense is what is giving him kind of a second wind, and that he doesn't feel like he needs to carry the entire load, not just on the field, but in terms of captaincy, is what he says. And that
7 sacks in 6 games, but he's protected. He has time to show his greatness again, as opposed to run for his life on every snap. The defense that's giving him shorter fields is giving him opportunities to win games without having to score 40 points. A running game, an established running game. Put all those together, and truly at the prime of his career, and that intersection of incredible physical talent and the mental capacity of I've seen everything, I know how to do the right thing at the right moment. I think we're seeing the best of Aaron. I really do. And that is no disrespect to San Francisco. I love what Kyle has done out there. I think their defense is formidable. I think there are half dozen teams in the NFC that I could sit with you right now and say, can I see them in Miami at the Super Bowl? Yeah, absolutely I can. I'm in Minnesota to do the game tonight on Westwood One Radio, and the Vikings are one of those teams too. They've got all the pieces. So I think this NFC run is going to be fascinating. There are going to be a couple of good teams that get kept out of the playoffs. But right now, if you had to ask me, it's New England, it's Green Bay.
Yeah, wow. And man, you're that game tonight. You're just always on the go, brother. I mean, you're a hero. You're a hero, Mike Tirico. It's amazing.
Hey, you're going to London to do games for the second time this month. Go easy on me.
Okay, no, it's amazing. Hey, before I let you go, I know you were in Bristol for the 40th anniversary for ESPN, and part of that ceremony. I don't know if you missed the way I celebrated it out here, Mike.
I did not. What did you do?
I had an entire third-hour guest come into my studio, and we ended the hour by having him mix martinis and clinking glasses. And the guest was named Craig Kilborn, Mike.
I heard about that. I've seen Killer's Instagram. Yeah. That was a great blast from the past. It was a good reminder. I texted Craig randomly 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and heard right back from him. And it just takes us back to how you don't know what you have or the team you're a part of while you're doing it, and then when you look at Craig and the success that he had in a whole different world, the Robin Roberts world on Good Morning America every day, Charlie doing the Dodgers, so on. And we can go on and on forever. And, God rest his soul, Stuart, who Paul got to work with so closely. Man, what a time and how lucky we are. Here we are, in some cases 15, 20 plus years later. And we still all see each other and get that special feeling.
It is. It's pretty cool. I know Ravi did a lot of the field. Did
really
you ever?
Is life changing for all of us.
I know Ravi did a lot. Did you ever do a feel good with Craig? Did you ever do a Kilborn Tirico feel good edition? Did that ever happen?
I did my share of shows with Craig, where Craig would ask for the NBA highlights, and you'd want him to do it because it would make your night, because you'd laugh your tail off. Yeah, Chris Myers, Kilborn, Ravi, Linda, you, a whole bunch of a group of people who you just see and just smile and laugh and go, man, like 20 years ago we were like exchanging highlights, and you got the lead, and I know you got the lead. Okay, this game switched. We're moving this, and man, that was the time for sure.
Yeah, I had our friend producer Gus Ramsey come up with the 5 questions for Craig. And Craig slipped right back in. It was like riding a bike. Asked him, like, what's that time of year where people do, sneeze and make jumpers? And he said, it's the cold and poo season. He nailed it. the cold and poo season. Oh, man. All right, Mike, take care of yourself. I know you're on the run. I appreciate the time. We'll chat soon, and enjoy the game tonight and obviously Saturday, too. At Mike Tirico on Twitter and at Mike Tirico NBC on Instagram, right here on The Rich Eisen Show.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live, or download the Rich Eisen Show app.